Are you looking to permanently move to Mexico? Maybe inherit property? Or buy a home on your own in the restricted zone of Mexico? Or do you just have the right to Mexican citizenship by birth and simply want what's yours and all the luxuries that may come with it? Well, if you watched my previous video on routes to citizenship, you know that there are 4 groups of people who have the birthright of Mexican citizenship, according to Article 30 of the Mexican Constitution. Maybe you're one of them. And in this video, I will specifically focus on how those with Mexican-born parents can obtain citizenship in Mexico, even if they were born abroad, so stay tuned. Before we get started, let me introduce myself. Hey friend, my name is Aaliyah, and the goal with this channel is to help with all things Mexico. After moving to Mexico ourselves and having to figure everything out on our own, my husband and I now try to make things in Mexico sound not so foreign to foreigners who may be living in Mexico. So whether you're just visiting, passing through, or establishing roots, join the journey and let's get mixed in Mexico. If one or both of your parents were born in Mexico, then you, my friend, have the privilege of skipping the need for residency status altogether and jumping straight to a full-fledged Mexican citizen. How? Well, in short, by registering your birth, wherever that may have been, at the Registro Civil office in Mexico or at a consulate office abroad. Now I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know for either office and give a few bonus tips at the end of the video to hopefully help you get your citizenship on the first shot without having to return, so stay tuned. There are 2 places you can register your foreign birth for a Mexican birth certificate, either at a Registro Civil office in Mexico or at the Registro Civil office, at a Mexican consulate abroad. And if you choose to register your birth in Mexico, just know, be warned, everything is in Spanish. At the consulate, you might get an English speaker, but in Mexico, don't count on it. Forget about it. The only difference in documentation is that if you complete the process in Mexico, 2 things, or 2 potential things. 1, the office in Mexico will require your foreign legal documents to be apostilled and translated into Spanish to verify the legitimacy of the document. And if you're unsure of what that is or how to get a document apostilled or translated, you can check out our previous video we did on that subject for a walkthrough and some helpful resources on acquiring documents. It's a good one. 2, in Mexico, you may also have to surrender your FMM tourist card that you presumably received upon entry into the country. And if you don't know what the FMM form is, feel free to check out our other video we did on that subject as well. I can't remember if we personally had to surrender my husband's FMM card or not. I know some offices do require it and some don't. Some will and some won't. That's definitely the Mexican way. But we got my husband's birth certificate in Mexico at the Registro Civil office there because, 1, we didn't want to wait for a consulate appointment in the States. We had goals and a timeline to follow and we were trying to stick to it. But 2, also the Registro Civil office that we went to, the particular one that we went to in Mexico, didn't require appointments. So we were able to just walk straight in and get everything handled, which was very nice and convenient. Maybe I'll link to where you can find the Registro Civil's offices in Mexico in the description portion of the video below. So check that out if that's the route you want to go. But most people, we've come to find out, register their birth at Mexican consulate offices abroad by making a Registro Civil appointment and bringing in all the same paperwork that you would need for Mexico. And if you want to know how to make an appointment at a Mexican consulate, feel free to check out yet another video we did of that on that subject. We actually walk you through the entire process of how to make an appointment at the Mexican consulate. Just don't forget that this appointment will be specifically a Registro Civil appointment. We just said a lot. Let's just do a quick review before we jump into all the paperwork that we'll actually need on the appointment. If one of your parents were born in Mexico, you can get your Mexican citizenship without ever having to be a resident. What you will need to do is register your birth at the Registro Civil office in Mexico or at a Mexican consulate abroad. And if you choose to do it in Mexico, there's going to be a little bit more work involved. Okay? Okay. Moving on. At your Registro Civil appointment, wherever that may be, what paperwork will you need? Well, several things. 1, the complete and correctly filled out application form, which I'll link below in the description portion. 2, the long version of your birth certificate, along with 2 photocopies as well. And a good way to differentiate between if you have the short form or the long form birth certificate is the short version birth certificate usually only talks about you, but the long form version of your birth certificate usually talks about you, mentions your parents, your doctor, sometimes even the time of birth. So that's a good telltale sign. And most consulates won't need your birth certificate to be apostilled or translated, just confirm with your particular office. But if you're completing the process in Mexico, they will absolutely need those steps to be done prior to accepting your birth certificate. 3, you'll also need valid photo ID along with 2 letter-size photocopies of it, front and back, of course. That could be passport, driver's license, state ID, that kind of thing. It just needs to have a picture that matches your face and a name that matches your name. All jokes aside, literally your name has to match your name on all your documents. And I personally bring 2 different forms of photo ID just because, you know, I just love being overprepared, but honestly, it can't hurt. 4, you will also need the Mexican birth certificate of the parent whom you're using to qualify with 2 photocopies. And technically, you only need one parent to be born in Mexico, but being overprepared is never a bad thing. So if both your parents are born in Mexico, the more the merrier. Bring both Mexican birth certificates if you can. Even if your other parent wasn't born in Mexico, you still need to bring their birth certificate too. If they were born in Mexico, though, if either of your parents, I'll leave a link below for a helpful Mexican government website to find and print Mexican birth certificates. It was a lifesaver for my husband and I when we were looking for his parents' birth certificates. 4.5, if one or both of your parents are deceased at the time of your appointment, you will need to bring in their death certificate with you. And if it isn't a Mexican death certificate, you will need to get it apostilled and translated. Sorry, friend. 5, in addition to your photo ID, you will need a valid photo ID of both of your parents, along with 2 photocopies, front and back. And their signatures must be on these IDs. It could be their Mexican passport, driver's license, their voting card or INE, that kind of thing. Again, what they're looking for is that the photo matches their face, their name matches their name exactly, and their signature on their documents matches the signature that they sign. 6, if applicable, you will also need your parents' marriage certificate. Specifically, if they were married at least 6 months before you were born. If they were married after that point, then your father physically needs to be present for the registration. It may be odd, but Mexico has a patriarchal culture, so the Registro Civil office will require paternal permission from your father to register you as a Mexican. It's kind of important to them. It's like the young lad who goes to the young maiden's father and asks for permission to marry her. It's very traditional, right? It's kind of along that same line. Maybe not. Anyway, if the father can't attend for whatever reason, you will need to obtain a special power of attorney for him from a public notaria in Mexico or at the consulate office. And the reverse is, of course, true for your mother too. If the mother is the Mexican-born parent and can't attend the appointment for whatever reason, she will also need to have a special power of attorney. 7, you will lastly need 2 witnesses over the age of 18 with a valid form of identification. And this is probably one of the easiest documents to bring or people to bring because you can't go wrong. Just ask 2 people to attend with you on the day of your appointment, and they don't need to be any particular citizenship. They just need to have a valid ID and be over the age of 18. And what was cool was during the height of the pandemic, the offices were restricting the amount of people in the building and providing witnesses for you. They were just providing the witnesses, and it's still the case today. If you can't provide 2 people, the consulate will help you by just collecting 2 volunteers at the office, so don't worry about that one. But my friend, once you have all those items, all 7, you are then ready for your appointment with the Registro Civil. My advice to you would be, 1, triple check ahead of time with your particular consulate office that you have all the right paperwork and documentation prior to your appointment date. Maybe even shoot them an email. I'll link an email down below. 2, make sure all your names and signatures match up. Your full name, any diacritics, accents, etc. If you have an INE in your name, but just an N on another document, they will see that as 2 different people. So if you see a mistake in either your documents with your name, take the time to fix it with the appropriate offices because it will absolutely be important. 3, don't forget copies. Mexico loves copies. Have at least 2 copies of everything, maybe even 3, front and back of each document. 4, try to arrive early at your appointment and be prepared to stay a while. And 5, just smile and be kind. That goes a long way, and it can help you to be patient with yourself as well as others. What will appointment day look like? Well, at the appointment, they will check you in, ask for your paperwork as well as your parents' paperwork, and if everything is good, they will log in all your paperwork into their system, their little fancy system. You would typically then be asked to sit down while they process all the paperwork, and once they're done and everything looks good, they'll call you back up, ask for your signatures, get your thumbprint, get your 2 witnesses, and you're done. The first copy of your birth certificate is free, but any additional ones that you may want can cost around $15. It depends on the office though. And I definitely say just pay the $15 and get one, because you never know if you'll lose it or you never know what you might need it for. Get a few copies. If you're like me, get a few copies. You will then be registered as a foreign-born Mexican with the Mexican government and will be given a CURP, or a specific population identifier, which I'll make a later video on that. But you'll have your CURP. They will also give you a letter of naturalization, which you definitely don't want to lose. You might need that for your Mexican passport. And stay tuned for part 2 on Mexican citizenship and how to get that passport now that you have your Mexican birth certificate. And if they don't provide you with your birth certificate that particular day of the appointment, they may ask you to come back and pick it up at a later date. Sorry, but it's no problem. You'll then officially still be legally a Mexican and can celebrate as you wish. So I hope that was helpful. If it was, feel free to like the video or share it with someone you think may benefit. But let me know how your appointments go in the comment section. But nonetheless, have fun, friend. Enjoy the process. Hasta pronto. See you soon. Nos vemos.